The night my husband told me to get out, he was smiling. Not the angry kind of smile, the satisfied kind. The kind that said, I finally got rid of you. He pointed at the door, looked me dead in my eyes, and said, go live in that broken-down motel your daddy left you. That's all you're worth. And I picked up my 2 sons, walked into the cold night air, and drove 40 minutes down a dark highway to a flickering sign and a parking lot full of nothing. That night, I found something inside that motel. Something my father had hidden, something that would change everything. And I mean, everything. Before I tell you what it was, stay with me. Because the road to that moment, it's going to break your heart first. My name is Sarah. I'm 36 years old. I have 2 boys, Caleb, who is 8, and Noah, who just turned 6. 3 weeks after my father passed away, our family gathered for the reading of his will. The law office was cold, beige walls, fluorescent lights, the kind of room that feels designed to drain all the emotion out of you. My sister, Victoria, sat across from me in a cream blazer, posture perfect, like she was already prepared to receive something beautiful. Her husband Marcus had his arm around her chair, not her shoulder, her chair, like he was already claiming it. My husband Ryan sat next to me. He didn't touch me. He didn't even look at me. He was on his phone when we walked in. He was still on his phone when the lawyer cleared his throat and began. I remember watching the clock on the wall tick. The lawyer's voice was flat, rehearsed. The Meridian Tower apartment complex, located in the downtown district, with an estimated current valuation of $4.2 million, will be transferred in full to Victoria Ann Calloway. Victoria didn't gasp. She smiled, slow, warm, practiced. Marcus squeezed her hand. They exchanged a look I wasn't supposed to see. I felt my stomach sink a little, not from jealousy, from something older, something more familiar, the feeling of already knowing what comes next. The Sunset Highway Motel, located on Route 9, will be transferred to Sarah Marie Calloway. Silence then, the tiniest sound. Someone clearing their throat. My aunt shifted in her seat. Victoria pressed her lips together. She was trying not to smile wider. She didn't fully succeed. And Ryan, my husband of 11 years, slowly put his phone in his pocket, looked at the ceiling, and exhaled through his nose, like he'd just been told his flight was delayed. That exhale. I still hear it sometimes. 2. That evening, Victoria and Marcus came over for dinner. I don't know why I said yes. Grief makes you do strange things. Makes you reach for family even when family is the very thing cutting you. I cooked. Of course I cooked. I had cooked every dinner in that house for 11 years. The table looked nice. The food was good. The conversation was polite and thin, like ice over a dark lake. Then Ryan raised his wine glass. I just want to say, he said, looking directly at Victoria. Not me, Victoria, that your father clearly knew what he was doing. Marcus chuckled. Smart man. Victoria glanced at me, that quick, apologetic glance that isn't actually apologetic, and said, Oh, Ryan. No, I mean it. He set his glass down. Real assets go to people who know how to handle them. My aunt made a small noise. I stared at my plate. I told myself, don't react. Don't give him the reaction he's fishing for. But it sat inside me like a stone after everyone left. The house went quiet the way houses do when something is about to break. Ryan was standing at the kitchen counter when I came in to clean up. A motel, he said. I kept stacking plates. A highway motel. Off Route 9. It's still property, I said. Quietly, carefully. It's a liability. He crossed his arms. It hasn't had guests in 2 years. The sign doesn't even fully light up, Sarah. I know what the sign looks like. Your sister got a 4,200 square foot luxury apartment building in the middle of the city. His voice was calm. That was the worst part. He wasn't yelling. He was stating facts. And you got this. I turned to face him. You've always been like this, he said. You just accept what you're given. You never push. You never fight. You just settle, Ryan. 11 years, Sarah. And I'm standing here wondering if I made a mistake. The room got very, very still. I looked at the man I had loved. The man I had supported while he built his business from nothing. The man whose shirts I ironed, whose children I raised, whose mother I cared for when she got sick. And he looked back at me like I was a disappointing investment. You're useless, he said. Not shouted, said. Calm as weather. Then he nodded toward the stairs. Take the boys. Go live in your motel. If that's what you're worth, go be worth it. I didn't cry. I don't know how. I wanted to. My chest was full of something hot and breaking, but I didn't let it out. Not yet. I walked upstairs. I packed a bag for myself and one for each boy. I woke them gently, told them we were going on a little trip, that it was an adventure. Noah believed me. He hugged his stuffed elephant and fell back asleep in the car within minutes. Caleb, my 8-year-old, too old for easy lies, looked at me in the rearview mirror and said, "Mom, are we coming back?" I held his gaze in the mirror for a long second. "We're going somewhere better," I told him. He didn't look convinced, but he didn't push it. He just leaned his head against the window and watched the highway disappear behind us. Route 9 was dark, nearly empty. The kind of road that feels like the edge of the world at midnight. And then, through the darkness, I saw it. SUNSET, MOTEL, half the letters lit up. The rest just blinked weakly, like they were too tired to try. The parking lot was empty. Every window dark. I sat in the car for a minute before I got out. I thought about my father. He was a quiet man. Deliberate. He never did anything without a reason. Why this? Why me? I didn't have an answer yet, so I got out of the car, carried my boys inside, and tried to make a home out of nothing. The smell hit me first. Dust. Old wood, stale air that hadn't moved in months. I found the cleanest room, room 7, closest to the office, and wiped down the beds with wet towels from my bag. I spread our spare jackets on top of the sheets. I plugged in a nightlight I found in the bathroom drawer. The boys were asleep within minutes. I stood over them for a long time, watching them breathe, Caleb with his arm thrown over his face. Noah still clutching that elephant. I thought, this is not the life I planned. This is not what 10 years of trying looked like in my head. I went back to the front office. A single lamp behind the counter was still on. A warm, amber light that made the room feel almost gentle. My father's chair was still there, behind the front desk. A wooden swivel chair, worn smooth from years of use. I sat in it, and for a moment I felt close to him. Just a little. I started going through the desk drawers. I don't know why. Maybe I just needed to do something with my hands. Maybe I was looking for a reason. Something that explained why a man who loved me would leave me this first drawer. Empty. Second drawer, old receipts faded. A pen that didn't work. Third drawer, guest books going back 15 years. I was about to stop and then I saw it. Behind the front desk, flush against the far wall, a small wooden cabinet low. Compact, about the size of a safe. But it didn't look like everything else in that room. Everything else was old, worn, dusty. This cabinet was clean. No dust on the top. No water rings. The wood was polished. Someone had been in here recently. Someone had been coming back to this place. My pulse picked up. The cabinet was locked, but hanging on a small nail beside it was a single key. I stared at it. Why leave the key in plain sight? Why not just leave the cabinet open? Unless it was meant to be found. By me. Tonight. My hands were shaking. I want to be honest about that. Not because I was scared of the cabinet, because I was scared of what it might contain. If it was empty, then Ryan was right. The motel was nothing. I was nothing. My father had simply run out of better options. I picked up the key, and I opened the door. No cash. No jewelry. No dramatic gold bar reveal. Just files. Thick envelopes. A rolled-up map secured with a rubber band. And a small metal box, locked, sitting at the very bottom. I pulled out the map first. It was a land survey. A detailed overhead outline of the motel property drawn in red ink. But my eyes went immediately to the blue line. A thick, deliberate blue line cutting straight across the back portion of the land. I didn't understand it. Not yet. I set the map down and opened the first envelope. Letters. Formal letterhead. City Planning Department. Private development firms. One company name appeared again and again. Apex Commercial Development. The dates on the letters stopped my breath. The most recent one was dated 14 weeks ago. My father was already in hospice by then. He was already dying, and he was still receiving letters about this motel, still making decisions about it, still protecting it. Why? I kept reading. The language in the letters was dry and bureaucratic, but certain phrases rose off the page like fire. Proposed Route 9 extension. Phase 2. Future commercial rezoning corridor. Brearley acquisition. Sunset Motel parcel. My heart started hammering. The next envelope contained an offer letter from Apex Commercial Development to my father, offering to purchase the motel property. The number they offered, I read it 3 times. It was more money than Ryan had made in the last 10 years combined. I sat down slowly. Because suddenly I understood. The motel wasn't valuable because of the rooms. The rooms were old. The beds were tired. The sign barely worked. The motel was valuable because of the land. Specifically, the back section. The sign barely worked. The motel was valuable because of the land. Specifically, the back section. The open land behind the last row of rooms. That was where the blue line ran on the map. The city was planning to expand Route 9 into a major commercial highway. And the back portion of this property sat directly in the expansion corridor. Once that highway opened, this quiet, half-dead motel wouldn't be on the edge of nowhere anymore. It would be sitting at the entrance to one of the most trafficked commercial exits in the county. Hotels, gas stations, restaurants, strip centers, millions of dollars flowing past this exact front door every single day. And every one of those offer letters, every single one, ended the same way. Offer declined. My father had said no. Over and over, he was holding it. Waiting, saving it. For me, at the very bottom of the cabinet sat the small metal box. I noticed the key immediately, taped to the inside of the first envelope, as if my father had known I'd open that one before anything else. I took the key. My hands were steady now. Funny how clarity does that. Inside the box was a single folded sheet of paper. His handwriting. I knew it immediately. Slow, deliberate cursive. The way he wrote grocery lists, birthday cards, and everything that mattered. I unfolded it and read, "Sarah, if you're reading this, I'm gone. And I know what the room looked like when they read the will. I know what people thought. I know what was probably said afterward. Let them think it. Let them say it. I didn't give you this place because it was the least I could offer you. I gave it to you because it is the most. The City Council approved the Route 9 expansion in preliminary review last spring. Final approval will come within the year. When it does, the back parcel will be rezoned commercial. Developers have been calling me for 3 years. I have said no each time. I said no because I was waiting for you to be the one to say yes. You have always been patient, baby girl. You read before you leap. You think before you speak. You feel everything deeply and still keep going. That is why this belongs to you, and not to someone who would have sold it the first time someone waved money in their face. Don't let anyone rush you. Don't let anyone tell you what this is worth. You already know how to hold on to something good and wait for the right moment. You've been doing it your whole life. I love you. I'm proud of you. Dad, I don't know how long I sat there. The lamp hummed softly. The highway outside was quiet. I read the letter 4 times, and then, very quietly, so I wouldn't wake my boys, I let myself cry. Not from sadness, from being known. Fully and finally known by someone who loved me. My father hadn't abandoned me. He had chosen me. But I didn't let the letter be enough. I'd learned, the hard way, many times, that paper and reality don't always match. The next morning, while the boys ate cereal from the vending machine down the hall, thought it was the most amazing breakfast of his life, I went outside and called the city planning department. Planning department, how can I help you? I gave her the address. There was a pause. Typing. Yes. The Route 9 commercial extension. Phase 2. That parcel is in the corridor. My voice stayed steady. When was it approved? Final approval came through last month. Last month, my father had died believing it might happen. He never knew it already had. When does construction start? I asked. Preliminary groundwork in about 4 months. That entire corridor rezones to commercial use at the start of next quarter. I thanked her, ended the call, stood very still in the empty parking lot 4 months. That afternoon, I called the number from the most recent Apex development letter. This is Daniel Hartley, Apex Commercial. My name is Sarah. I'm calling about the Sunset Motel on Route 9. A brief silence. We've been trying to reach the property owner, he said carefully. He passed away, I said. I'm the owner now. Another pause. Longer this time, Sarah. His voice shifted, warmer, sharper. We are absolutely still interested. Very interested. When are you available to meet? Friday, I said Thursday evening. One day before my meeting, Ryan called. I almost didn't answer. Then I thought, I want to hear his voice. I want to hear it and feel nothing, I answered. Are you done with whatever this is? His tone was flat, businesslike, like I was an employee who'd called in sick. I'm fine, Ryan. I watched Noah chase a pigeon across the parking lot. Sarah, you don't have income. You can't just live in that place indefinitely. I won't have to. A pause. What does that mean? Nothing yet, I said. Good night, Ryan. I hung up, and I heard something in the silence that followed that I hadn't felt in years. Power Friday morning. 3 men in clean suits arrived at the Sunset Motel. They didn't laugh. They didn't look at the parking lot with pity. They looked at it the way a surgeon looks at a patient, with deep, focused, professional interest. Daniel Hartley shook my hand firmly. He had kind eyes and an expensive watch. Thank you for calling us, Sarah. We've had this property in our pipeline for 3 years. We walked the entire property together. They measured, photographed, consulted their tablets. When we got to the back parcel, the open land behind the last row of rooms, Daniel stopped. He stood quietly for a moment, looking toward the highway. This is it, he said, almost to himself. Then we sat in the front office, my father's desk between us. The exit ramp from the new highway will deposit directly into this parcel, Daniel said. Within 3 years of opening, this location will see more daily traffic than the downtown district. We're talking a full commercial campus. Hotels, dining, fuel, retail. I know, I said. He smiled. He hadn't expected that. We'd like to make you an offer today. For the full parcel, he slid a folder across the desk. I opened it, read the number, closed it, sat back. Ryan had called this place garbage. The number in that folder was more than his company had ever been valued at, in its best year. I'll need 48 hours, I said calmly. Of course. As the men walked to their cars, I went back inside and sat in my father's chair, and I thought about something he wrote. Don't let anyone tell you what this is worth. I smiled. Then I picked up my phone. I had a dinner to plan. I texted the family group chat, dinner Sunday, my treat. Same restaurant, 7 p.m. Victoria replied with a heart emoji. Ryan replied with, fine. I booked the private dining room. Sunday evening, I arrived first. On purpose, I wore the dark green dress I'd bought myself 2 years ago and never had an occasion for. I asked for sparkling water. I sat straight. When Victoria arrived, she looked genuinely happy to see me, or at least, she performed it well. Sarah, you look good. A scan up and down, fast, instinctive. Motel life treating you well? It's been peaceful, I said. Ryan arrived last. He sat down without greeting me, picked up the menu. Feeling ready to come back to reality? He said from behind the menu. I've never been more in reality than I am right now, I said. He lowered the menu just enough to look at me over it. Victoria had a great week, he said. Closed a major refinancing on the East building. Investors are very excited. That's wonderful, I said to Victoria, and I meant it. I had never begrudged her what she had. How's the motel? Ryan asked flatly. I reached into my bag, pulled out the folder, set it on the table. What's that? Victoria asked. An offer I received, I said. Ryan's jaw moved. For the motel? For the land, I corrected gently. He laughed once. Short, sharp. Who would pay real money for that? I slid the folder toward him. He opened it, the laugh stopped. He read the number, read it again. Victoria leaned over and looked. The color left her face. Ryan's voice came out strange, thin. This isn't real. It's the first offer, I said. I'm negotiating the final terms this week. Silence settled over the table like snow. Victoria whispered, that's more than both my buildings are worth. The highway expansion changes everything, I said simply. The land sits right at the new commercial corridor. Dad knew about it 3 years ago. He's been holding it. Ryan stared at me. He had the look of a man who had been certain of something his entire life and had just been shown, plainly and quietly, that he was wrong. You knew, he said. My father knew, I said, and he left it to me. The waiter appeared. Is everything okay? Can I take your orders? Yes, I said, smiling up at him. Everything is finally exactly okay. I didn't sell everything. I know people expected me to. After everything, the humiliation, the empty parking lot, the flickering sign, they expected me to take the money and run. But my father said, don't let anyone rush you, so I negotiated. I sold the development rights to the back parcel. I retained a percentage stake in the commercial campus. I kept a piece of the land that my father had kept for me. The money secured my boys' futures, their education, their start. I filed for divorce the same week I signed the final papers. Ryan didn't call me useless this time. He called to ask if we could talk. I had nothing left to say to a man who had to see a number in a folder before he could see me. Victoria. I think she struggled with it. She never said the wrong thing after that dinner, but something changed between us. The easy confidence she always wore around me, it fit differently now. I don't begrudge her. My father loved her too. He just knew us differently. These days when I drive past the construction site on Route 9, I slow down. The old motel sign is gone. In its place, cranes, steel frames, the skeleton of something enormous rising from the ground. Caleb asks me sometimes, "Mom, is that ours?" And I say, "Part of it, baby. Part of it always will be." My father didn't give me the smallest inheritance. He gave me the one that required patience to see, the one that only made sense if you were the kind of person who reads before they leap, who holds on, who waits for the right moment. He knew I was that person. He just waited for me to know it too. My husband told me to go live in that motel. He thought he was throwing me away. He had no idea he was sending me straight to everything I was always meant to have. End. Heartline Secrets. He threw me out. He had no idea what he just did.